So yes, part two, carrying on. Food stamps, not the food stamps. That's probably what I'm really gonna dub it, not the food stamps. So everybody is in an uproar. And those that rely and occupy with food stamps. Now, what is food stamps? Food stamps, is a mechanism for those that can't, afford to, I assume, purchase with cash. So they go through a system and they get, stamps, EBTs, and whatever else. But, the president has just disqualified it for the month of November. And what's coming up in the month of November is these terrible holidays. So me being a spiritual man and looking with spiritual eyesight, looking with the pineal gland, so to speak, looking with the spiritual eyesore, I gotta say this is something from Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. This is something from Yahweh. Yahweh has done this. You Israelites think you're about to celebrate these pagan days, and Yahweh, has said no. That's how I look at it. See, I never follow the sheeple, man. I never follow the sheeple. Always look at things deeply. I'm always looking through layers. I'm always looking deeply. I'm never looking at the shallow surface. You gotta always look deep. And if I didn't look deep, then I wouldn't be what I am today. And that's a teacher of the Holy Scrolls, a prophet of the Holy Scrolls, and really the true scholars of the Holy Scrolls. If we didn't look deep, Salak, we wouldn't be who we are, and we wouldn't have this great knowledge that we have. But carrying on, I believe Yahweh did this. He does everything anyway. Yahweh does everything. And who is Yahweh? Yahweh is who the world, or the people in the world, ignorantly call God. This is Daniel 4, verse 17. It says, this matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living, that's us, we're living here on earth, may know that Yahweh, the Most High, rules in the kingdom or kingdoms of men, of mortal men. Who rules the kingdoms of mortal men? Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. But on the contrary, the prophets, the scholars, the apostles, the true men of the Lord, we're not just any old mere mortals. As I always say in my lessons, we're mortals, but we're not just any mortals. Clearly, we're not just any old mortals. So this is the matter by the decree, Daniel 4:17, prophecy, scripture scroll. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that Yahweh rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whomsoever he will, and he set up over it the basis of men. And right now, who rules right now? Well, you guessed it. I call him Dr. E, but I'm going to start calling him Dirty E, because the things he does is dirty. Let's just call a spade a spade. So on the surface, you have these Babylonians, these Egyptians, because this place is every wicked place wrapped in one. When you really put the prophecies together, this place is all of the wicked places put in one. This is why this place is going to experience the final judgment, which is hot fire, according to Zechariah, prophet Zechariah 14:12, prophet Malachi, I believe 4:1, 2 Peter 3:10 and 12, and Isaiah 66:15 through 16, prophet Isaiah. and a plethora of many more scrolls and prophecies, because this is the final kingdom before the coming kingdom of Hamashiach Yahushai. So everything that's happening is just the lead up into the next prophecies to unfold. And notice is always something. It's always something in his life. Notice that. It's always something. It's always something. It's never, I don't remember there ever been a time or a year where it's just, you can say to yourself, this was a good year. Nothing happened, well, nothing to talk about. Everything was just golden. It was just good and golden. It's just a great year. I haven't had one of those probably since, if you're coming from a Gentile's point of view, probably since the 50s, 60s, 40s. But if you're coming from an Israelite point of view, it's always been hell. But even to these Gentiles up to now, it's hell. So it hasn't been one of those years or multiple years or none of that. It's just like prophecies just unfold, and it just gets worse and worse and worse as they try to kick the can down the road, as the water swirls through the drain. It gets worse and worse, and that's prophecy. That's prophecy. So let's grab something else. Let's grab Deuteronomy. I like this prophecy. Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 39. It says, "See now that I is Yahweh, even I, Yahweh, am He, and there is no God, no power with me. I kill," Yahweh kills. They always talking about Satan, these Christians, and I call them Bible casuals. They always talk about the demons and Satan. But when you come into this knowledge, this top tier knowledge, this great knowledge, you'll understand that Hasatan, Satan, and the demons, they're just workers. They're just workers like everybody else. We all work for who? We all work for who you call God, Yahweh. We all work for Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Yahweh, the Ancient of Days. So see now that I, even I, am He, and there is no God with me. I kill. Yahweh says He kills. I make alive. Yahweh makes alive. I wound. Wound. When you get a wound, literally, metaphorically, however you get wounded, Yahweh wounds. So wouldn't you say 40-something plus million people not receiving food stamps? Wouldn't that be a incredible wound? Well, if I'm using my brain like I always use it, I would say and conclude, yeah, for sure, that is a wound. People are not receiving their stamps, as this lesson is called, food stamps. But I'm going into a lot of angles and degrees, so to speak. So, yeah, man, you got people hooting and hollering and going ape-ish, losing their cool. And this is just a precursor. This is just a preview of it's just a preview of what is going to actually be when that MOTB is amplified and manifested fully. Not no digital ID, not no digital this. We talking about when these devils want each and every soul, the Israelites and the heathens, the Gentiles, when they want both of these people, both of these individuals per se, to take the MOTB. It's going to really be like a end time apocalyptic movie. It's going to really be like one of those end time apocalyptic movies. And the scrolls are going to get into it, but let's just finish this up. Deuteronomy 32:39. See now that even I am he, and there is no God, no power with me. I kill. It ain't Satan. It ain't the demons. It ain't the tough guy in the hood, or the known gangster in the hood, or gangster in the hood. It ain't the hitman here. It ain't the CIA and military and FBI and blah, 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 and police and blah, 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 and your government and blah, blah, blah. Even though they carry out these acts, let's not get it twisted. But who is the master chess player at hand? Who controls everybody? Who pushes everybody to carry out these things? It is Yahweh, the Ancient of Days. See, he's telling you right here, I'm giving you the secret. Not only me, but the other prophets, the other apostles, the other teachers. They give you the secrets. Deuteronomy 32:39. And we go over these secrets, these precepts, these prophecies time and time and time again. Why? Because I got a certain thing that I say, perfection. And I need to start writing these things down, because Yahweh, he gives me all type of stuff. He just gives me all type of stuff. But one of my favorite things I say within these lessons, perfection is the father of repetition. Perfection is the father of repetition. Perfection is the father of repetition. And that's the thing that I say. Let's go into because if you do your reps, repetition. If you do something over and over again, repetition, you become great at something. So when we bring out these scrolls, we're just repetition, but we get great at it. We get great at them, memorizing them, remembering them, and pulling them out in certain lessons. And your father is like the Y chromosome, as I was going into in some more studies. The father is the Y chromosome. He's your bloodline. You are your father. So, tying these things in together, metaphorically and literally, tying it all in, the father, perfection is the father of repetition. You do reps and reps to become perfect at something. So that's my whole point. Did you see how I just tied all that in? Yeah. Deuteronomy 32:39, it says, see now that I am he, and there is no God with me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. For I lift up my hand to heaven and say, I live forever. If I whet my glittering sword and my hand take hold on judgment, I will render vengeance to my enemies and will reward them that hate me. So that is Yahweh. It's not Hasatan, and it ain't the demons. And it ain't even the angels or the archangels or the ministering angels. Like I said, we all work for Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. We all work for Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. So whenever he wants us to do something, he'll do it. Case an example, Donald Trump with his food stamp and all of the other bull crap that he's passing and doing. In which we tell you time and time again that he's nothing but a puppet. I mean, the truth of the matter, we're all puppets. I just brought it out. We all are pawns in this chess game. And Yahweh controls us all. But to dive into the surface, he's just a pawn for the bankers. And the bankers are just a pawn for Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. But like I said, I was looking deep into this thing. Yahweh did this. Yahweh made it to where you 2/3. You heathens, you Gentiles, you're gonna do what you're gonna do anyway. You're not of the blood covenant, so it don't really matter. You're not of the blood covenant. The people that's under the blood covenant is what matters. So I'm using my pineal gland, so to speak. Not even so to speak, literally. Just looking into things with the spiritual eyesight. Yahweh did this. You 2/3 thought you were about to celebrate some Thanksgiving and cook up some turkeys and some yams and some mac and some greens and some pops, chips, and even though I think Trump cut that off, which is smart. I like that. Trump cut that off. No sugar, water, pop, juice, processed juice, and chips and candy bars. You can't even buy that no more with stamps, food stamps. You have to buy food. I agree with that. Certain points and certain stances that I call him Donald Duck sometimes when he do stuff stupid that I feel that's stupid, I call him Donald Duck at certain times. But certain stuff that Donald Trump does, I kind of like. Like I always say, I see myself in Mr. Trump, man. We got some similarities. And I tend to say that. But carrying on, looking at this at a deeper, in a deeper setting, this is Yahweh all over it. This is Yahweh all over it. Like I said, you 2/3 thought you were about to celebrate some Thanksgiving, some pagan holiday, and all the rest of the pagan holidays that come after in this season. If Yahweh makes it to where Donald Trump extends this food stamp ordeal, then you won't be having stamps for Christmas. You won't be having stamps for New Year's. And obviously you won't be having stamps for Thanksgiving. But like I said, looking at it deeply, Yahweh is doing this because you 2/3 thought you were about to celebrate some pagan days, some pagan holidays. And Yahweh tells you time and time again that you shouldn't be celebrating these days. So now everybody is, going ape-ish. How it's said, but they're going ape. They're going ape, and this is it's just prophecy. So going back to the surface, everybody's mad at their president, mad at the establishment, the Republicans and whatnot, or the administration, the current administration. And it's all over the internet, and everybody's just angry. But that's just what it is when you don't see what this stuff really is and what it's really about. Because like I said, when that MOTB is dropped, it's going to be like an end time apocalyptic movie. It's going to be like an end time apocalyptic movie. Prophecy, prophecy, prophecy. As I always say, Slach, no mortal can stop prophecy. No mortal can stop prophecy. 2 Esdras 15, it says, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people." Who is Yahweh's people? It is you Israelites, you so-called Latinos, Latins, whose fathers go back to the ancient sons, the royal, regal sons of Israel. You Afro-Latino, Afro-Mexican, Afro-Colombian, Afro-Cuban, Afro-Puerto Rican, Afro-Dominican, Afro-Brazilian, all you, indigenous, even to Tainos and North American Indians and all of that, the Northern and Southern Kingdom, and obviously you blacks, Negroes, African Americans, and Haitians, Jamaicans, we all make up the Southern and Northern Kingdom of the house of Israel, the 12 tribes scattered abroad. So that's his people. That's who he's talking to. The blood covenant people. The people that took the oath, the blood oath, the blood covenant in the time of Moses. We are those people. We are the Hebrew Israelites. There's no getting around it. There's no getting in front of it. There's no getting beside it. There's no denying it. We fit all of the prophecies, which half of those prophecies is cursings, and we fit it all. And the blessings, and eventually the blessings. We're going to fit it all. It's going to be given to us all. 2nd Esdras 15, it says, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people," the people that I just named. This is the words of prophecy. There it is, the sweet word of prophecy. You know, that might be my second favorite English word. You should already, if you've been following me and my ministry, you should already know my first favorite English word. You should already know. But prophecy may be the second, may just be my second favorite English word. It says, "Which I will put in your mouth," it says, said the Lord. It says, "and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true." The Bible, the scrolls. "Fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee." You know, yeah, when we on those highways and hedges preaching and teaching the word, you got 2/3 scoffers, mockers, atheists, unbelievers, and even to you heathens, you Gentiles, that try to tell us what the word is and what it ain't. It says, "For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness." It says, "Behold, says Yahweh, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword," that's war, civil unrest. And you see that happening with ice, baby, ice. ice, baby, ice. You see that happening with ice, baby, ice. You know, with all of this running in people's spaces and running them out of the country. Sword, it's gonna build up, and actually it has built up, because now, you know, there's a rumor on the streets. Rumor has it that the cartel or the cartels have put out hits on these ICE agents. Ice, baby. Has put out hits on these ICE agents. That's sword. That's war. That's civil war, civil unrest. And then eventually, you know, the military has to kick in, National Guards has to kick in, and that and yada yada. And then the wars that's over the seas, you know, with these other countries, Russia, China, North Korea, etc., etc. World War III. That's on, you know, that's still brewing. You know, these nations are dropping the dollar. They're going into something called BRICS. You know, BRICS nation. You know, Brazil. What does it stand for? I think BRICS: Brazil, Russia, China, Syria, I believe. BRICS stands for that, and then other neighboring countries and whatnot. So that's the war. It says famine, no food stamps. Food stamps are used to buy food. I mean, wouldn't you say, if this thing does play out, wouldn't November be a month of famine? Wouldn't November be a month of famine? And if he extends no food stamps past November, wouldn't you say that these holidays or holiday months, wouldn't you say these would be months of famine? Technically, right? For those that use food stamps and don't have them, you know, and who's mostly on food stamps? You know, well, coming to find out, you Edomites, you're definitely on them food stamps. And you heathen nations, you other heathen nations, y'all definitely on them food stamps, coming to find out. But who's the face of it? You know, you Israelites are the face of it. But, you know, and with that being said, some of you Israelites well, most of you Israelites that's on it, you got families, especially you women that's on it. And mainly it's the so-called black woman that's on it, the the Judite woman, or the Gadite woman, or the Reubenite woman, or the Israelite woman is on it with all of her children. So that's famine. It looks like famine for these next couple months. I mean, technically that's a famine. It's gonna, it look like it's gonna be a lot of fasting in these couple of months. Death, quoting the movie, quoting the one movie, man. People die every day, B. Those that know that movie, you should know. But death, you see that with these plagues, pestilences. You see that with the sword, famine, and you see that with destruction. Climate changes, hurricanes, earthquakes, volcano eruptions, wildfires, sicknesses, all of these things. This is all judgment plagues from Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. It says for wickedness. This is why he brings all these things, because of wickedness. And what is wickedness? Wickedness is the transgression of his word. And his word is the commandments. It says for wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth. Yeah, when you look at sweet, sweet America, yeah, it's sweet. It's sweet, all right. It's sweet, all right. Men don't know if they men. Women don't know if they women. Sexual immorality is at an all-time high. And I'm going to kind of tie that into this lesson too. This is why men are not getting married in this era, in this day and age. I follow a couple channels. Well, I wouldn't say a couple, but I follow a lot of Red Pill. I've been following these channels since way back, since before the Red Pill and the Stoic Man and the Red Pill Man and the Passport Bros. Before all of that took place and got popular, I've been on that about 6-7 years back. But it's really at a climax right now, It's really at a climax right now. Relationships, Americans are not looking for relationships. Nobody's looking to get married. Marriage doesn't benefit the man. Men are going their own way. It was actually called MGTOW. MGTOW. Men going their own way. MGTOW, I believe. But you have that going on. And that's because of sexual immorality. Part of it is men feel like, women are not trustworthy, and vice versa. So it's all wickedness. It's all wickedness. And right now you have a pandemic, so to speak. Well, I wouldn't even say so to speak. It's literally a pandemic of single women looking for mates. Women going into certain spots, clubs, and festivities to look for men, to look for life partners, to look for companions, basically husbands. That should be the end goal. And men are not around or in those spaces. So it's a lot going on here in Babylon, man. And here in Babylon, here in modern Babylon, here in modern Egypt, here in modern Persia, here in modern Russia. I mean, not Russia, but Rome and modern Greece, which is, this place here. It says, for wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Therefore said Yahweh, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit. Neither will I suffer them in those things, and which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood cries unto me. And that's the saints, the Israelites, chiefly from the nation of Israel. All of the things that this place has done to the children of Yahweh. That righteous blood cries out from the very inception of how this place was established. From the slaughtering of the slaughtering of the northern Israelites, from Christopher Columbus, and coming to find out another guy, Cortez, another Spaniard, all the way from then all the way up to now. It says, and the souls of the just complain continually. And who are the just souls that complain continually? Well, that would be us, the prophets, the apostles, that has regenerated. The elders like to use I say regenerated, but they say reincarnated. It says, and therefore says Yahweh, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. All of everything that has happened since now here in America, man. All that blood that has been shed, all of the water, the man-made lakes, the stealing of the land, the killing of the northern Israelites, the killing of the southern Israelites, slavery, police brutality, mass incarceration, gentrification, redlining, everything, every single thing, all the way up to now, man. Innocent blood. It says, behold, my people is led as flocks, the Israelites, to the slaughter. I will not suffer them, Yahweh says, I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, which is here. It says, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and stretch out an arm and smite Egypt with plagues. This is how we know this is America. 2nd Esdras 15:11. That is the cherry on top that proves that 2nd Esdras 15:16 and all of the other prophecies are talking about sweet America. Chiefly because he said, I will smite Egypt with the plagues as before. So if you know how to if you're great at reading and comprehension, that was one of my favorite classes coming up. Reading and comprehension, not only just reading, but comprehending what you're reading. You will realize that he's saying there's two Egypts. 2nd Esdras 15, it says, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm and smite Egypt, the old Egypt, Moses, the Israelites, and the Pharaoh, the Cush, the Egyptians. It says, I will smite Egypt with plagues as before. And how did he smite the old Egypt? Salak, with the plagues. The locusts was a plague. Turning the water to blood was a plague. Killing the firstborn sons of the Egyptians was a plague. And all of the other plagues that happened. The darkness, he brought like deep, heavy darkness. All of those were plagues. The frogs, plagues. He's bringing the same plagues now, which you see in this modern Egypt, which is the volcanoes, the tornadoes, hurricanes, thunderstorms, pestilences. You got STDs at an all-time high. I mean, even sexual immorality is like a plague in a way. STDs. You got even when you think about, when you just put everything on a deep scale, even to this GMO food. GMO food is a plague. Pesticides is a plague. Fluoride is a plague. All of this stuff is plagues. You can really count up everything that's negative. You can count it up as a plague when you really sit and think on it. And this is the new Egypt. It says, but I will bring them with the mighty. Your president disabling the food stamps for 46 plus million Americans. That's a plague. But like I said, That's deeper than what it seems. That's Yahweh. You 2/3 thought you were about to indulge in some wicked holidays, and Yahweh snatched it right from you. It says, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and stretch out arm and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and I will destroy all the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that Yahweh shall bring upon it. It says, they that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail. Famine, though the blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation. It says, woe to the world, destruction, and to them that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction draws nigh. This is unto the wicked. Chiefly, this message is unto you Israelites, so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Indians, Islanders, those Israelites that look like the heathen nations, and all of the Israelites scattered around. And even with that, for you Gentile nations too, so you can understand the judgment that's coming upon you and your people and this place. It says, for the sword and their destruction draws nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. See, that's civil unrest. That's civil war. And if the rate of things keep going the way that it's going, this is going to happen, because that's one thing. That's one way to cause an uproar. That's one way to bring on civil unrest. That's to starve people. That's to starve people, man. People will go ape-ish. They will lose their mind when they can't feed their kids, especially if they got about 8, 7 kids. If they got 3 kids, 2 kids, can't feed your kids, can't feed yourself, can't feed your family, people will go ape if they don't eat. And then people will go ape if they can't get high, can't smoke their weed, can't drink they whatever they drink. That's just a climate for civil unrest. That's a climate for civil war. It says, for the sword and their destruction draws nigh, and one people should stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there should be sedition among men. And that's how the sedition is going to happen. Because when society collapses according to these prophecies, it's really going to ring off because of famine, the lack of food. You're going to get tired of just sitting in the house with your stomach rumbling. You're going to get tired of just sitting thinking about food. You're going to get tired of just sitting hearing them babies cry, them kids crying and complaining, and your wife complaining and crying. And then people are going to do what they got to do, right? For there should be sedition among men and invading one another. They should not regard their kings, so the politicians, the governments. Nobody is going to give a damn about you and what you got going on in that day. Yahweh is going to put a spirit of vengeance out here. A spirit of, we say it's a dog-eat-dog world. We ain't seen nothing yet when Yahweh when Yahweh really puts that spirit out here. When he really makes it a dog-eat-dog world. We say that now, and to an extent, it is a dog-eat-dog world, but everything is technically in place right now. But when Yahweh pulls the rug, turns off the light switch, you really gonna see a dog-eat-dog world. And technically, the Israelites, we've been living in a dog-eat-dog world anyway, since our inception. You see, you hear. If you grew up in the hood, if you grew up in the slums, if you grew up in urban communities, if you grew up in poverty, if you've seen it, experienced it, then you already know what it's like to live in a dog-eat-dog world. But Yahweh is going to bring it to the 100th power, because they're not going to have regards of the government, the establishment, police, and police officers and National Guards and military, they're not going to care. The people are not going to care about none of them. They're not going to regard their kings, nor the princes, nor the politicians, nobody, military or the politicians. They're going to all be getting killed out here, getting dealt with out here. This is prophecy. This is not something I'm making up. This is prophecy. It's telling you right here. For there should be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And I always say, man, them police officers and some of them, military folk and whatever else. And that day, when it really tips off, they're going to be trying to save and protect their own families. So you ain't going to be calling on nobody in that day. They got their own kids, family, wives, etc., to protect and guard and look after, let alone somebody else. It says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, because everything is going to be sanctioned off or cut off from city to city. It says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. So if the men are going to be afraid in this day, how much so you women and children? I'm going to emphasize that again by reading it over. It says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. So how much more you women and children and elderly people? How much more you elderly folk, the old people? A man shall have no pity, because Yahweh is going to put that spirit, man. He's so tired of this place and all of the wickedness and everything that happens here. He's going to say, you know what, skip it. And he's just going to open up the floodgates of of judgment. He's just going to let the judgment just reign. And this is called Great Tribulation. Matthew 24, 2 Esdras 9, 15, 16, and a plethora of others. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses. Why? Because of famine, hungry. When you hungry, you can't do nothing. Think about that. When you're hungry, you can't do a darn thing. And you're not thinking about nothing else but fulfilling your hunger. You're irritated when you're hungry, mad when you're hungry. You ain't really thinking about no sex when you're hungry, because you're hungry as energy. You ain't thinking about working out, exercising, because you're hungry, no energy. You ain't thinking about having fun because you're hungry. That's you wanna cripple a nation. You want to cripple humans? Famine. And that's what Yahweh is going to do. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. Why? And spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, food. It says, and for great tribulation. So this is all prophecy. This is all prophecy. And I'm going to come back with part 3. It says, like as they do yet this day unto my chosen, the Israelites, the prophets, the apostles, and those mighty righteous men and women that passed on transition, but will be resurrected in that second appearing of Hamashiach. So will I do also a recompense in their bosom. Thus said Yahweh. It says, my right hand shall not spare the sinners, and my sword shall not seize over them that shed innocent blood upon earth.